I fucking love science, bro. Perpetual Motion Machine 2025, I'm calling it. Anime Cat Girls 2027, I'm calling it. Stars Are Pretty 2065, I'm calling it. There's a lot of science worshippers, and I've argued with my friend about this, so this might seem like a backstabby jab, and it absolutely is, you bitch. It's always these articles about world hunger is solved, but in reality, they fed an atom of helium, a taco, at absolute zero in a lab, so no practical applications until ever. It's often a lot of these guys who hate religion and then go and just find something else to worship. And it could be a virtue signal because science is for smart people and I want people to think I'm smart. Or it could be this hope for a brighter future so you don't have to actually fix the dark todays. But I get it. The idea of sending man to space is cool and exploring the stars and all that. I want a fucking alien too. I get it. Unfortunately, we're born too late to explore the world and too early to explore the universe. The only thing left is ourselves. I mean dank memes. I mean the ocean. I mean ourselves. Yeah. And people don't seem to like what they're finding. In the same way as the science fags, I have this kind of worship for self-awareness, fetishization of it. And I understand it's imperfect and I'm often wrong. I'm sure you've caught a dozen times in my ranting where I'm being a hypocrite and I don't even realize it. But I welcome those criticisms because I'm just trying to root that out of myself, kill all my illusions. And the trickiest illusion of all is the one that says that there are no illusions left. So I understand I'm often wrong, and sometimes I'll have some revelation and think, aha, now I know. And then years later, have another revelation and realize I was wrong the whole fucking time. You're forever in doubt. I always hedge my bets by adding a caveat that I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm stupid, and I'm a retard, and I don't know anything. You gotta hedge your bets so that you can't ever be caught being wrong. There's this line from Bukowski: the problem with the world is that everyone except me is stupid. Pretty sure that's exactly it. Verbatim, I got it. You ever notice how dumb people have such steroided confidence in spite of all reality? Think about the dumbest person you know, and think about how smart that person thinks they are. So if you're me and you're just going to ignore the possibility that you're a vulnerable narcissist, you got to think about how you think you're smart and everyone else around you is stupid, and maybe everyone's just humoring you. Maybe I'm the retards. You ever think about that? Sometimes I think about that. But anyway, self-awareness. I try to kill my illusions and try to get to the root of who I am and how I think, and I do a pretty shit job of that, but I'm fucking trying, alright? I'm doing my best. Leave me alone. You're not my real dad. And I use what I learn or think I learn about myself to try to understand other people. And I understand that's literally projection, and on the internet that's basically just a dismissal of your whole argument. But I do it in reverse too, because it's really easy to see flaws in other people that you could never see in yourself, because we're all narcissistic, I guess. So if you catch me being a hypocrite, think about when you act the same way, because a lot of the revelations I've had about myself were based on watching other people being assholes and then thinking, I fucking do that too. You might be wondering why I'm not out here sharing the nuggets of wisdom I've gained from all my delving and self-awareness worship. But I have. I've said some of the things I've learned, and they don't seem significant. Maybe because I'm stupid and you guys have all figured this out. Or maybe just people don't care. To serve my own ego, I'm going to say these are still valuable insights. It's just nobody gives a shit because we all just want to watch Netflix and jerk off to tentacle hentai and do drugs. But I will share 3 of these nuggets straight from my anus. Feel free to chew on them. So the first one is something that's come up before in earlier episodes, and that's me being a complete fucking edgelord and seeing nigger and faggot and retard and chink and everything else, mayo, vagine. I wish there were better slurs for some of these races. Anyway, I think you could come up with a rationalization for more or less anything. You can justify anything because we're dumb and the world is complicated. Like I've talked about before, we're all emotional state machines and then we rationalize after the fact. So it's really just how we feel, and then this goes through some gauntlet of mental illness to come out in the world with some rationalizations attached to it. So there are actual reasons why you could justify saying the N-word. One would be that words have the power that we give them. So if we normalize it to the point where we're desensitized and it doesn't mean anything to us, it wouldn't carry any of that power. No one would actually want to say nigger if it didn't offend anyone. People say it because they want to offend you, either because they're edgelords or because they, like fucking retards, actually hate you based on the color of your skin and want to offend you because of that or hurt you. Another would be something from Psych 100 that I learned a long time ago. One way you can strengthen bonds with your friends is to break taboos together. It's like a trust thing. Like, this could get me in trouble, but I trust you to not fuck with me, so we're gonna break taboos together. You can also rationalize it the way I did before, where you point out the hypocrisy of saying we protect this one tribe but not these others, so it's okay to say chink and zipperhead because no one really cares if you say slurs about Asians. There's reasons, there's rationalizations, and there's plenty of reasons for the opposite point of view. I'm just, making the point that you can rationalize anything. So when I say it, even knowing what I'm doing, I'll still rationalize it and give you the reasons that kind of make sense. But really, it's just a rebellion against a society that I feel doesn't accept me. And I know it's this stupid loop of course they won't accept you because you say the N-word. But this started before I became an edgelord. Even now, I haven't really figured out why I felt unaccepted or rejected. I have theories, but nothing solid enough that I'm going to start talking about it out of my ass like I do with everything else. Well, there is one that it's an entirely invalid feeling and none of this actually happened and I'm just trying to make a victim out of myself. There's this quote I heard. I thought it was Marcus Aurelius in Meditations, but I can't actually find it, so maybe this is just fucking made up. When you've been wronged, everything you do becomes right. So it's possible that I just, like a fucking crazy person, made this up all in my head so I can feel morally superior and justified in everything I do, which is how I normally feel. But this is what I do, and there are probably a couple of reasons why. One would be, if I'm not going to be accepted, I'm going to do it on my terms. So now it's very clear why you don't like me, and it's because I say the mean racist words. But also, at a time when I felt like no one accepted me, I found 4chan, and they did. They did in the hostile way they accept everyone. The first day you're on 4chan, someone's gonna call you a faggot or a double nigger, and you double nigger. And it doesn't really matter because that's what they call everyone. That base level of hostility kind of evens the playing field. You become desensitized to it. So ironically, as an edgelord who uses these mean words, they've lost all meaning to me. They just become general insults and easy shock value humor and easy ways to offend someone if you feel like offending them because you're an asshole. And I don't think this rebellion feeling is unique to me. You might think it doesn't apply to you, but probably it does, and you're just not looking at yourself hard enough. Because I think a lot of people get pulled into these false rebellions where they think they're rebelling, but there's no one in the mainstream who disagrees with them. It's just a kind of trick to funnel your rebellious urges into something productive. And being the true rebel that I am, I made sure that my rebellion is absolutely unproductive and regressive and hurtful and mean. And that's how I convince myself that I'm better than the people who don't like me. I have more to say about this false rebellion shit, but I think that's something that would be in a different episode. Consider this a call forward. Stay tuned, you double nigger. Another nugget came from a revelation from a long time ago, before I ever actually got into this self-awareness fetish. Which sounds kind of gay when I say it like that. So back then I was younger and dumber, and I was on 4chan, and I was posting this diet, Nietzsche, bullshit, God is dead, plaintive nonsense. And I don't remember exactly what I was talking about, but I remember one of the parts was that we're 10 parts animal to 1 part angel, and that's not good enough. And there was more to it, but that's what I actually remember. Someone responded, just one post in a thread of people calling me a faggot. He said some other stuff, but the one thing that he said that really just hit my heart was, the angel in you weeps. Because he figured out from the paragraph that I wrote that when I was doing this ranting, I was coming at this from the point of view that I was better than everyone else. Because I figured out that we're not good enough, that I was better and I was good enough, and I was getting there, and I was lamenting that no one else was. It's something I keep trying to think about now, about how these attitudes I have, where it implicitly places me above other people. Because I haven't figured out how to not do that, I just try to catch myself doing it now. But this guy, who probably did call me a faggot, he's responsible for that. So thanks, asshole. Get your body ready for the third nugget. Sometimes I stay up too late and I start texting my dead friends, and you might think that's grief in some form. The internet loves forgiving anything weird that you might do if it's possibly grief. And at one point I might have accepted that, like, oh, I'm just grief-stricken about all my dead friends. But when I stop and examine it and really think about it, it seems to me like I get unhappy about my own petty life. And then in that moment, I look for other things to be unhappy about. Does that make sense? In the good times, I'm never really thinking about these lost people, but when I'm low, it's like I'm trying to make myself lower by making someone else's tragedy about me. Maybe you do that. Think about that. Maybe I'm the retards. And you might be thinking, based on that I'm depressed. And you're not the first to do so. A lot of people have. I understand why people might think that. I have a kind of affinity for melancholy and desolation. And I got resting sad face. You look at me and you think, man, this guy is fucking ready to kill himself. But I don't think so. One guy, my favorite, who suggested that I might be depressed, I remember the exact quote, "What you're saying is unassailable, but you sound depressed." And I really like that because that kind of implies that there are certain truths that are incompatible with the functioning of a sane mind. And if you think about that, sanity is kind of a consensus. If you draw a line of detachment from reality, at the 0 point you have perfect alignment with reality and you see everything exactly as it is, and at the far end you're just a crazy schizoid seeing all kinds of crazy nonsense with wizard eyes and you don't fucking know what's going on. And what we call sane is somewhere in the middle, because it's just the set of lies that we all kind of agree upon, and because the majority agrees on it, we call this the sane point. These are the most commonly agreed upon lies. There's a line from Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. "Take the universe and grind it down to the finest powder and sieve it through the finest sieve, and then show me one atom of justice, one molecule of mercy. And yet you act as if there is some ideal order in the world, as if there is some rightness in the universe by which it may be judged." And I know I draw too much meaning from fiction. So we call crazy the schizoid fuck who sees things that aren't there, like demons walking around telling him to burn children, or Allah forgive me, the wage gap. But we also call crazy the schizoid who doesn't see what isn't there, like the guy who doesn't believe in mercy, or Allah forgive me, the wage gap, who doesn't agree with our concepts of just right and wrong, because by one way of looking at it, it's just made up bullshit that we all agree upon. And I think these lies are a core part of being human, but that too is probably for another episode, because it seems like a lot of shit to talk about, and I'd rather you not know things so that you can suffer in life. Double nigger. Anyway, I don't think I'm depressed. I've kind of looked into it, not actually going to the rapist about it because I'm not gonna go talk to some asshole. I've seen some of the people who become rapists and they're not particularly smart, so I've spoken to people who are diagnosed and someone recommended I read David Foster Wallace's The Depressed Person, and honestly I can't relate. I can't imagine what it feels like to have mental agony because I don't have that. In fact, well, the last video got age restricted on YouTube because I said nigger too much, probably. Or not enough. I definitely didn't say it the exact right number of times to appease the Jews at Google. And I think what I'm about to say is even more offensive than that. In fact, I read the short story, The Depressed Person, and I found the person annoying. I think depression is overdiagnosed, maybe vastly overdiagnosed. I acknowledge that some people just have chemical bullshit in their brains, and I truly feel for them because that fucking sucks, I'm sure. But for everyone else, I don't know, it just kind of seems like self-absorption. It's really tempting to get a diagnosis so you don't have to take responsibility for your sickness or your recovery from it. Depression just kind of seems like a bit of a meme to me. So much so that sometimes it seems like people even flaunt it. They list out all their disorders, make an account of all their suffering. It's the homie Marcus Aurelius again, with the exact same quote that I made up and probably doesn't even come from him. So it must be really tempting to get wronged by biology or God or whatever you believe is making depression happen to you, because now you're a victim and nothing you do is wrong. So you might be thinking, wow, this dude is clearly depressed and just in denial. And I really think I'm not, but it almost seems to me like the really crazy thing is that I'm not jumping to have that diagnosis under my belt, to have this excuse to be a piece of shit ruining my own life. Because it does seem like people want it almost. And maybe it's a sickness in our culture, because it's curious how, while things are not perfect, and they never will be, life is just amazing, and everyone's unhappy. It's such an incredible time and place to be alive, but everyone is so broken. I don't know what's wrong with us. We all seem so demoralized. I know there are some schizoid theories out there about how the Russians have done this, or the Jews, or that's about it. Those are the only two culprits imaginable. But we are a very much demoralized generation, and I don't think that's valid. But maybe I'm just not properly relating to the losers. Things are pretty good. Cheer up, Depresso. You know, crime rates are down, and we're all literate, and global warming is gonna kill us all. Apropos of nothing, there's a part in Firefly where they found this guy who survived reavers boarding a ship, and they made him watch as they tortured and killed and ate all his family and friends and everyone else on the ship. And then later, he basically becomes one. He starts mutilating himself and he starts attacking other people. And the way I was remembering it, I thought there was some comment about how he mutilated himself to make the outside match the inside. But I watched it just now, or I skipped through the episode to try to find it, and that's not what they said. I'm saying it anyway. But again, that's apropos of nothing. I hope I pronounced that right. I looked up the pronunciation and I was so wrong.